Hello and welcome to this session. This is Professor Farhat, in which we will discuss the Engagement Quality Review, EQR. Think of a pilot sitting in a cockpit. The engines are running, the passengers are seated and buckled in. They are ready to take off, but before they touch the throttle to take off, usually a co-pilot verifies the control. Every switch and every dial is working properly. Or think of a publisher. Even the best publisher, even an award-winning writer, they're reviewed by other editors. Why? Always a second set of eyes protects credibility. Even the best person can make mistakes. So humans are prone to errors. Complex work requires independent final review. So if we're talking about auditing, that independent final review, that final safeguard is the Engagement Quality Review, EQR, and this is what we will discuss in this session a little bit more in depth. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we proceed any further, I have a public announcement about my company, FarhatLectures.com. Most students and CPA candidates struggle not because audit is too hard, but because it's taught fast and the logic behind the procedure isn't explained clearly. Then everything feels disconnected. At Farhat Lectures, we break audit down step by step. We explain the why behind the standards, the logic behind the assertions, risks, procedures, evidence, so the whole process finally clicks. When the concepts connect, audit becomes clear and manageable. You stop memorizing and start understanding. Ready for auditing to make sense? Start your free trial at farhatlectures.com. So what is an engagement quality review? Let's look at the definition first. An AQR is an independent, objective assessment of significant judgments. We don't look at everything. And assessment of the conclusion reached by the engagement team. Significant judgment means what? It means important. Significant means important. We're not recalculating every invoice or repeating the whole audit. We are assessing the judgment and the conclusion. Not everything. So an EQR, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not a second audit. It's a review. So critical timing element, it must be completed before the report is issued, before the report is released. If the review is incomplete, we don't release the report. We need to double check things. We need to double check important assessment, important judgment, important estimate. So think of it as a pre-release gatekeeper, not post-mortem. Because once the audit is out there, it's hard. It's not hard. You can call it back, but you would lose credibility. But let's make sure we understand what's an EQR is not. This is important. It's not a second audit, as I mentioned. It's not a re-performance of every procedures. It's not clerical recheck of arithmetic. What it is, it's a focused review on complex area, high risk judgment, ethical compliance. It's targeted. High risk decision, major professional judgment. Sufficiency of partner involvement. Was the partner actually involved? Did not show up the last second of the audit. Were they involved? And we can see this in the paperwork. So the EQR basically target risk areas using professional judgment. Now you might be saying, we keep saying significant judgment. So why the focus is on significant judgment? Because it's a judgment. Some things are objective. For example, if we look at cash is objective. We can compute, we can look at the bank statement, we can verify it through a third party, the bank, we can look at the online banking information and verify. Cash is objective. Confirmation, we can use confirmation, it's verifiable. It can be mathematically recomputed, not a problem. That's fine. But think about other account like revenue recognition. Revenue recognition, you could have complex contract like software development or software sales. You could be bundling many other items like training, installation, maintenance with that contract. How do you account for the revenue? For example, you could have valuation of goodwill that involve assumptions of cash flow, assumption about interest rate, macroeconomic factors. You could have estimates for litigation reserve if you're being sued. There's assumptions going on there. Fair value of derivatives. Every time we use the fair value, it means we're coming up with a number. How are we coming up with that number? If it's for derivatives or for any other investments that's not publicly traded. All these involve assumptions, estimates, professional skepticism, and that's why we focus on judgment, significant judgment, where we are making assumptions and estimates. So judgment is where the error and bias are more likely. You cannot misrepresent cash because it's easy to verify. But revenue recognition for complex contract, goodwill, litigation, warranties, fair value, those are a little bit more challenging. So it's important to know who can be the reviewer. Can anyone be the reviewer? Can you bring an intern, say, throw them on the engagement? You're the reviewer today. Not at all. The standard sets very high bar for the reviewer. The reviewer must be a partner or a qualified individual. Now think about the reviewer. The reviewer will have to question. They have to have sufficient competency and experience. Otherwise, they're questioning partners, they're questioning senior managers, they're questioning supervisors' work. They have to be able to comply with ethical and independence requirement. They are comfortable with this, familiar with this. And the golden rule is they cannot be part of the engagement team. I know this is obvious, but they cannot be. You cannot review your own work. You cannot bring someone who was on the job and review the work. It's like you're auditing your own work. You're not supposed to do that. And we cannot forget about independence. If the reviewer is not independent, if independence is compromised, forget about the whole process. The entire process will collapse. So if you think about the audit itself, if you're not independent, the audit is worthless. And if the reviewer is not independent, the audit is worthless. So what could be threat avoided? First is self-review threat. And we talked about this. You cannot review your own work. It's as simple as that. You cannot review your own work. You have to bring someone who's independent. Now remember that independence is within the company. Nevertheless, it's independent. They are the inside but the outside. So the person that's doing the review, it's inside the firm. Yes, it's part of the firm, but they're the outside person that's working on that engagement. And the reason is we want to preserve objectivity, skepticism. That's why. So if the reviewer helped determine the allowance for doubtful account, they cannot objectively assess whether it's reasonable or not. You cannot do that. So independence ensure fresh perspective, unbiased challenge, and professional skepticism, which are what? Which are cornerstone for any audit, cornerstone for any audits. Now, can the reviewer use assistant? Of course they can. And here I have a robot. It doesn't have to be a robot or AI. Of course they can use assistants. But responsibilities cannot be delegated. They cannot blame someone else or say the other person did it. The supervision here stops with the reviewer themselves, that top person, the other partner. So the engagement quality reviewer retains the overall responsibility for the review. They cannot delegate the accountability. They can determine how much supervision is required, but if something is missed, the reviewer cannot blame the assistant. The accountability remains with the reviewer. Some of the questions, they try to trick you on that. So if the assistant misses an issue, it's still the assistant problem. Now, do every audit requires an EQR? Well, we can break the requirement under two categories. One of them is easy to remember, required by law/regulation. That's one requirement, or due to the risk of the engagement. The engagement is risky. Now let's start with required by law or regulation. For example, the government audit require, for example, someone to double check things. Financial institution, for example, banks. Court supervised entities like bankruptcy liquidation. These involve high risk, public interest and systematic risk, especially like banks, right? We don't want to mess up on auditing a bank. So this is one type of engagement where EQR is required, just to make sure everything is good. The other one is due to risk. Now, when we say due to risk, who determined that risk? It's a professional judgment, but it's required when the engagement is highly complex, involves significant estimate, complex revenue recognition, significant professional judgment, significant issue that was already identified. What could be examples of that? Tech companies with multiple element revenue arrangement. We talked about this. Or company with prior restatements. So company in the past, what we did, we had to go back and restate their financial statements. Why? Because there was an error. Hold on a second. What makes you think that the error is gone now? We have to double check things. It's a high risk engagement. Or a company with material internal control weaknesses. Why? Because if you have internal control weaknesses, there's a possibility you could miss certain things, and that's why we want to double check things in companies like that. So the greater the risk, the greater the need for independent review. So risk triggers review, and risk is a judgment.